All right, if you're a general contractor, you already know that getting workers' comp insurance can be a massive headache, right? It's expensive, it's confusing, and honestly, it can feel like the system is stacked against you, especially if you subcontract out most of your work. So let's just get right into it. We're going to unpack why it's so complicated and what you can actually do about it. I hear this all the time. It's probably the single biggest misconception out there. You think, hey, I hire other companies to do the work. They're not my employees, so their risk is their problem. I mean, it makes perfect sense on the surface. But in the world of workers' comp, that assumption isn't just a little bit wrong, it's incredibly dangerous for your business. So we are going to completely dismantle this myth. We're going to look at the hard legal facts, we'll get inside the head of an insurance underwriter to see what they're thinking, and we'll see exactly how one uninsured sub can trigger a financial nightmare for you. And here is the fundamental problem. It's how you see yourself versus how the law sees you. You see a project manager coordinating other businesses, but the law? The law sees the one person in charge of the whole job site. And that means you can't just pass the buck on risk. Think of it like a legal safety net, and you, the GC, are the one holding it. The reason for all this, the legal firepower behind it, comes down to a concept you absolutely have to know. It's called the Statutory Employer Doctrine, and it is the #1 reason why subcontracting doesn't make your workers' comp problems just disappear. So what is this thing? Well, it basically means the law can say, hey, that subcontractor's injured worker, for the purpose of this claim, they're your employee. It's designed to make sure an injured worker always has someone to pay their medical bills. But what it means for you is that you can suddenly inherit a huge liability that you thought you'd handed off to someone else. And don't for a second think this is some obscure local rule that probably doesn't apply to you. We're talking about 44 states plus Washington, D.C. This is basically the law of the land, coast to coast. The rule is crystal clear. If your sub doesn't have insurance, their injured worker legally becomes your problem. And this bit of legal text from Virginia really nails the logic. It says that because the work your plumber or your electrician is doing is a core part of your business, building a building, their employees are legally tied to you. You can't just pretend they're total strangers working on your site. Legally, they're part of your operation. Okay, so that's the legal side. Now let's switch hats for a minute. Let's look at this whole situation from the perspective of the insurance company, the underwriter who has to decide if they even want to offer you a policy. Because when they see a GC who subs out a ton of work, they don't see lower risk. Oh no, they see a minefield of hidden dangers. This right here, this explains so much of the frustration. You look at your own books, you see a small payroll for your direct employees, and you think, my premium should be cheap. But the underwriter, they see a $1 million construction project with a tiny payroll attached, and massive alarm bells start ringing. Their first thought is, where's all the risk hiding? It must be with uninsured subs, and that risk is going to come back to bite our policy. So these are the specific things that make an insurance carrier really, really nervous. That low payroll just doesn't look right to them. They immediately assume there's a huge chance they're using uninsured subs. They worry that people are misclassified as 1099s when they're really employees. And all of this leads to what they call claims leakage. That's the fear that a claim from a sub's employee is going to leak onto your policy. It's their worst nightmare. And all that fear and uncertainty adds up to you getting a label. You become what the industry calls hard to place. If you subcontract more than half your total job cost, many standard insurance companies just won't touch you. They'll say the risk is too unpredictable, and they'll pass. Okay, so we've talked about the law, we've talked about insurance theory, but what happens when all this theory becomes a painful reality? Let's walk through the chain reaction, the domino effect, of what happens after one single injury on your job site. It all starts so simply. An uninsured subs worker gets hurt. Bam, domino 1. Because of that statutory employer rule, the claim immediately hits your policy. Bam, domino 2. That trashes your loss history, which means your rates are going to go up for years. Then after the policy year ends, the audit happens, and that's when you get a surprise bill for tens of thousands of dollars to cover that sub's payroll you never accounted for. And the final domino? Your insurance carrier looks at all this and says, you're too risky, and they drop you. Now you can't even bid on new jobs. It's a disaster. And this is what that can feel like. A project that was supposed to be profitable ends up being a financial black hole that can gut an otherwise successful company, and all because of one subcontractor's missing paperwork. The premium audit. This is where it all comes home to roost. It is not a negotiation. When that auditor sits down with you, it's black and white. If you paid a sub and you can't show them a valid certificate of insurance for that sub, the auditor has to assume they were your employee, and they will charge you for it, often at the highest possible rate. Okay, I know that was a lot of doom and gloom, but here's the good news. This is 100% a manageable risk. This isn't about not using subs, of course not. It's about having a rock-solid system for managing them. So let's shift gears and talk about the playbook for protecting your company. If you only remember one thing from this entire explainer, this is it. This has to be your golden rule, a non-negotiable. If a subcontractor wants to work on your site, they must provide you with proof of their own workers' comp insurance. No certificate, no work. Period. End of story. So what does your defense look like? It looks like a folder, a real or digital one, for every single sub. And in it, you need these things: their workers' comp certificate, their general liability certificate, a signed contract that says they'll cover any losses they cause, and a perfect record of how much you paid them and for what. This isn't just paperwork. This is your armor at audit time. The solution is just a simple, disciplined process. 4 steps. 1. Collect the certificates before they set foot on the job. 2. Actually look at them. Verify the policy is active. 3. Keep those records for a long time, like 5 to 8 years, because claims can pop up way later. And 4. Hand over that beautiful, complete file to your auditor. Do this every time and you're protected. You know, you can be in charge of this huge, complex job site, but at the end of the day, your company's financial safety comes down to the paper that backs up every single deal. A handshake builds relationships, sure, but a certificate of insurance is what actually protects your business. And hey, here's a pro tip to make this way easier. The NCCI, which is the big national organization for workers' comp, has a free tool on their website. You can plug in a sub's info, check if their policy is legit, and it can even alert you if they cancel it mid-job. It's an awesome way to automate some of this and have peace of mind. So we'll leave you with this final thought. We've all been there. You've got that one sub who does amazing work, they're ready to start tomorrow, but they don't have their insurance sorted out. It is so tempting to just look the other way, just this one time. But after seeing how quickly the dominoes can fall, you have to ask yourself, is that little bit of convenience really worth betting your entire company